According to the Statistical Center of Iran's 2011 General Census, over 99% of the population of the Islamic Republic of Iran is Muslim. Over 99%. And yet, we keep reading comments like this. Ex-Shia Muslim from Iran is here. You can't even imagine the rate of apostasy in Iran. And like this. I left Islam since I was 7. I live in Iran, and I can tell you 80% of us are closet non-Muslims. Now I'm confused. The Muslim government, which imposes a penalty for apostasy, says that no one is leaving Islam. And they know this because they knock on your door and say, "Are you still a Muslim? If not, we kill you." And people keep responding, "Yes, we're Muslims." Classic polling. But other sources claim that massive numbers of Muslims are secretly leaving Islam, and even that there's now a non-Muslim majority in Iran. So, who's right and who's stupid? We don't have to wonder, because the Group for Analyzing and Measuring Attitudes in Iran has done the research. So, they conducted a digital survey where the people who were answering questions didn't have to worry about being for giving the wrong answer. Our results reveal dramatic changes in Iranian religiosity, with an increase in secularization and a diversity of faiths and beliefs. Compared with Iran's 99.5% census figure, we found that only 40% identified as Muslim. Only 40% identified as Muslim. This means that non-Muslims, and possibly even ex-Muslims, are now the majority in Iran. In contrast with state propaganda that portrays Iran as a Shia nation, only 32% explicitly identified as such, while 5% said they were Sunni Muslim and 3% Sufi Muslim. Another 9% said they were atheists, along with 7% who prefer the label of spirituality. Among the other selected religions, 8% said they were Zoroastrians, which we interpret as a reflection of Persian nationalism and a desire for an alternative to Islam rather than strict adherence to the Zoroastrian faith, while 1.5% said they were Christian. Here we can see the data visually. Shia Muslims have this part of the pie. Sunni Muslims have this part of the pie. Sufi Muslims have this part of the pie. Islam doesn't even get half the pie. Most Iranians, 78%, believe in God, but only 37% believe in life after death, and only 30% believe in heaven and hell. In line with other anthropological research, a quarter of our respondents said they believed in jinns or genies. Around 20% said they did not believe in any of the options, including God. These numbers demonstrate that a general process of secularization known to encourage religious diversity is taking place in Iran. An overwhelming majority, 90%, described themselves as hailing from believing or practicing religious families. Yet 47% reported losing their religion in their lifetime, and 6% said they changed from one religious orientation to another. Younger people reported higher levels of irreligiosity and conversion to Christianity than older respondents. Needless to say, these figures are not good for Islam. A third said they occasionally drank alcohol in a country that legally enforces temperance. Over 60% said they did not perform the obligatory Muslim daily prayers, synchronous with a 2020 state-backed poll in which 60% reported not observing the fast during Ramadan, the majority due to being sick. In comparison, in a comprehensive survey conducted in 1975, before the Islamic Revolution, over 80% said they always prayed and observed the fast. That is huge. Before the Islamic Revolution in Iran, before the mullahs took over the government, more than 80% of the population always performed their daily prayers and fasted during Ramadan. Now less than half the population performs their prayers and fasts. Once people saw what an authentic Islamic government looked like, they wanted no part of Islam. So, whether it's Shia Islam or Sunni Islam, the vast majority of people do not want to live under an authentic Islamic regime. When Muslims see Islam in all its blood-stained glory, they can't leave Islam fast enough.
First off, the Iranian government just did a study. I think it was released last year, where they are lamenting that 55,000 mosques are now closed. And so that's a big deal. Nobody's going to mosque.
I think they'll make good churches.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see practically, you know, I just talked to an Iranian yesterday. I gave him a Bible in Persian. We talked. He's like, I want to read this. I've never seen one of these. Look, when I was doing apologetics 20 years ago, we had to fight constantly about the Bible being changed and corrupted, all the basic arguments. For the last 5 years that I've interacted with Muslims in this part of the world, I have had to do almost zero apologetics. All they want to do is, we want to know who Christ is. We want to learn from Christians. Now, on Sunday, we had Azerbaijani Iranians in our church. They said, please tell us who Jesus is. Tell us, what do you believe? I sat down for 30 minutes. I just gave them, you know, the imputation of Christ's righteousness. This is what he's done. This is the relationship we have. What Christ did on the cross. They said, we want to believe. It was like that. And every week we see these guys, they're sick of this Islamic God. They're sick of having to be forced to live under this weird oppression, and they're set free in Jesus Christ, and they want to know. That's why I believe what Artur said. You know, I truly believe if I'm able to walk across the border here and I could do an open air evangelism, I think we would see mass conversions in every village and in every city if that door opened. So pray for Iran too if you're a Christian, because they're ready to hear the message. I see it over here all the time. I told Artur this. I said, Islam is fallen. We're done. Islam is done. It's finished. There's a prophecy.
It's finished. It's finished. It's been humiliated.
I have a proof for this. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 44. When I read this a few years ago, I was like, no way. This is like so awesome. It says, and I will punish Bel in Babylon, and I will take out of his mouth what he has swallowed. The nations shall no longer flow to him. The wall of Babylon has fallen. Jeremiah said this prophecy at the height of Bel worship, when they had a major temple there in Babylon. It was worshipped for over 2,000 years, this false god Bel. And here Jeremiah is saying, no longer, it's not going to even be remembered. And those nations that flew to Bel, and I'm going to rescue them out of the mouth of this false demon god. And I can say this, is that there's going to be a day. Look, we know this is true, guys, because nobody listening knows what a Bel is. You have to Google, what is a Bel? Like, what's a Bel? I don't know. That was the most worshipped god. Jeremiah said, no, Yahweh is winning. And what's interesting is, I really believe this about Islam, is that a few generations from now, I don't know how many, but in a short time, people are going to have to Google, what is a Muhammad? What is an Islam? They're not going to even know what it is. Christians were persecuted because of their faith in Christ. And they would say, is Caesar Lord, or is Christ Lord? They said, Christ is Lord. They could be killed. Well, today we only remember Caesar when we eat a salad. Who would have thought in Jesus' time?
Wow, given the rate of Islam's collapse, seems like I'll soon need to find something else to talk about. Small price to pay for getting to watch Islam crumble before our eyes.